Welcome everybody, thank you for joining us for another weekend of NTRU Rugby Union. We're at Marara Rugby Park between Souths and Dragons. Both teams last week were in hard-fought battles, came off second best, but geez, no stone was left unturned last week. Dragons fought really hard for a narrow loss against Casuarina when they were expected to be blown away. And then Souths, what could be considered, I guess, a spiteful and feisty game, took on University Pirates, and the end result being a few suspensions and a few blokes being and a few players being sent to the judiciary and having a couple of weeks holiday early. So there'll be a few changes this week. So bear with us if we get a couple of names different, because they've thrown a few people around. But I'm expecting a big game today because Dragons haven't had to back up from reserve grade, so they've got fresh players. And South yet to fire this year, in my opinion. Plenty of changes. They've probably chopped and changed a lot this year, so they really haven't settled into the season, which is unlike them. So I don't know what they're going to produce. But if the Dragons produce anything of any heart like they did last week, then we're in for a treat. With me as the expert here, who actually knows what's going on, is Paul Healy. Thanks for joining us, Paul. How are you?
I'm good, thanks, Billy. Thanks for the kind introduction, mate. And we've had a bit of time off, and it's our first game back together for a while. But I agree with you about South. I think, unfortunately, they lost their captain last week and their leader due to suspension. So I guess they'll be looking towards Jake Ranger and Mulholland to try and lift them, and someone in the forward. So. Yeah, I mean, these two teams are, as you said, they're probably ready to fire, and Dragons have got a full starting team with no second-grade players, so they'll be ready to go. And it's a beautiful night here at Rugby Park, and looking forward to it. Billy, thanks for having me.
Oh, mate, it's for those who are watching, it is a great day. It hasn't been hot today at all. There's been plenty of rain the last couple of days, and and the temperature's nice and balmy, so there should be some free-throwing rugby. South, short kick-off, but taken well by the Dragons and set up there by the forward pack. And Big H, he's just got the leg drive going early and got past the advantage line. Good effort by him. And you can tell that they're ready to go, Dragons. They're actually advancing very quickly to the advantage line, and they've got a plan and they're setting it up very quickly. You knew exactly what was going on. Gee, it makes a difference when you haven't had to play two games. You could just see them, just a spring in their step coming off the first couple of plays.
Yeah, they look pretty good there, Billy. A nice structure from the kick-off, and then obviously they've got a game plan to kick for territory, and let's hope they can contest this line out.
Oh, South going up early. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what comes out of the South team this week after last week's interesting game, we can say. Probably one of the wettest games of the year, but also with so much... Oh, terrible line out by South. Messed it up right at the back. Hamish just mistiming it from the throw, and then comes Drew Tobin. Who knows where he'll be playing tonight? I think he played 3 positions last week. He's down as hooker tonight, but I know he's not playing hooker. Nice work by Dragons. They're just... good communication. They're settling into their pattern early. And South up quickly in defence. Gee, I tell you what, that number 10 they had last week, Ikat Nabe, who just took it up there, and he was great. And again, you can see he's just plenty of communication, rattling the big boppers up. Just a nice settled pattern, not trying to rush at Dragons. They know that they've got the forwards to push and ask questions of the defence, and they've gone out to Nicky now. Nicky's always got an option. He's gone 1, 2, 3, 4. He's over the line, I think, or he's close, and that's a try. Gee, I don't know. That was a great lead up by Dragons. They sort of held their line, took their time, and the patience was there, and South just weren't awake to it.
Yeah, I think that was good by Dragons. They held onto the ball, and they kept hitting it up one off the ruck, and then they were dragging the South's defence in, and they went wide to Nicky, and we know he's got good feet and good acceleration, and he got through a couple of tackles and scored a good try, and it's a good start for Dragons, Billy.
Yeah, I think and look, this is not unexpected because because I'm not a professional commentator, I pretend to repeat myself a fair bit, but as I said last week, Dragons are the second half of the season team. They tend to do this a lot. They generally have a terrible first half of the year come Christmas, and they seem to snap out of it, and they produce a really challenging side to play against. Last year they were nearly kicked out of the competition because they couldn't form a team, and then were only a couple of points away from making the grand final. So and we're seeing the same this year, and they're a club who have been battling for numbers, and as we mention a lot, they've had 6 or 8 players each week backing up for reserve grade, which makes it extremely difficult. Now we've had a week where they haven't had to back up, and you wouldn't want. I don't think any team's going to really take them lightly when they're fresh, because we just saw then the composure they've got. The 5'8" Nabe, mate, he's brand new, and he's had a couple of solid games, so they're looking pretty handy.
Yeah, I guess the coach of Dragons would be looking for an 80-minute performance, because, they have got a couple of big boys out there to hold up that scrum, and, if you can get 80 minutes out of them, you're doing well. But as we mentioned, it's a good start by Dragons, and, South just look a bit down at the moment. They just need to lift themselves off, obviously, from this kick-off, Billy, and get some field position, and then put some pressure on Dragons and see what happens.
Min's put it deep, a bit of lack of communication there at the back, a bit of confusion, but looks like Austin took it well and's got it back to Nabe, who then's pushed back over the South half. Vinny Min, the veteran, saw a space, probably didn't come off the boot like he'd like, straight down Nicky's throat. And that hasn't been put away either. Now we've got Ranger. He knows what to do with it when the ball's in hand. Oh, he's done the
kick pass,
cross kick pass, AFL style. Seen another bloke do that once, and it was brilliant, that bloke. Yeah, South, they're just playing off the cuff, which is what they do best. And Burge is coming through, putting pressure on Nabe, and it was interesting play. It was off. It was sort of wasn't planned, but then South really made the most of that.
Yeah, they just need some field position, like we said, and they've done that. But obviously there's a clear game plan from both teams to kick it into the corners and try and get some field position and territory and go try and steal a line out or get a mistake. So now we've got, Dragons under pressure, goal line dropout. Great kick.
It is an excellent kick, but there's plenty of speed and composure at the back here for South. Ranger cut out past a Min. They got a bit of speed. He stepped back inside and taken on a little hole there and got a little good position for the forwards to set up. Now Burge is lined up and he's gone the inside dummy but taken on the defence, and looks like Summers has cleaned out nicely there as well. Yeah, if the South can keep putting a bit of pressure on the fringes out here to the blind and just keep pushing these big boppers around, they're going to find a few gaps with a bit of tiredness. But Min now. Oh, Min, great pass from the veteran, former France under-20s player. Just nice little flick off the hip, but then it was spilt.
It's hard to distinguish the 12 and the 13 from South, isn't it? They're very much similar type players as well. Solid ball carrier, good defenders.
Yeah, you can see, and you can see they know how much time they've got and they use it well. Now it'll be interesting because the line-outs from both teams last week when we saw Casuarina and Dragons play were terrible. We'd have plenty of time over the week. Oh, sorry, they're playing knock-on. Sorry.
I think Dragons played at the ball and knocked it on. Yeah, so it's a South scrum. Great position to launch some attack here, and you can see that they've got their set up there, South. That they're probably going to run the winger in there somewhere, go to the line and look for the space on the inside. You just need to make sure that you secure your own possession from the scrum, Billy.
Yeah, and I look at both teams just in this position, and you've the experience in that back line for South against probably what I look at a much younger and less experienced back line. That could be the difference today, because I know the Dragons forwards won't be giving an inch, and they will really test the South forwards. You've got Evan Needham out the back there. I mean, I think he played with Moses, and I think he captained Jesus at one point. He's been around that long. And he's still got plenty in him. He's an ex-Brumby development player back from when they were strong in the late 90s.
See, there's an unforced error. South had a great attacking platform. they looked at winger on the inside and gave that short ball to that runner running into the space, and unfortunately we've knocked it on, and it's Dragons' ball now, and they can secure their scrum, and obviously they'll try and get out of their own 22 and put some more pressure back on South.
Just seemed to offload a little bit late, didn't he? It just happened. It seems to happen a lot in this comp. The timing, just a fraction of a second earlier, just to allow the runner to accept it. But yeah, nice solid scrum from both packs. And then H from the side. Oh, ordinary pass to the feet, but well picked up. No panic there. Burnett, that was who got it off his toes. Geez, that was Henny. Nicky now. Neither of those guys need any room, do they? Those Nicky boys, they look like they just skipped for fun.
Yeah, they got good feet.
Oh, yeah, I tell you what, there's a nice handy little catch at the back there, wasn't it? Quick and plenty of room. Little flick pass. Great little pass there by South. Now the forwards missing the 10, so the forwards line. That's Burge there now, been taken on but couldn't get anywhere.
Turnover.
Yes. Saw the take there from the turnover, and good work by Dragons. Put out, but probably not dealt with very well, really, off the kick.
No, he probably could have steadied himself a bit more, Billy, and gone for a bit more purchase on that kick. But South have got the win, so it's like it's a difficult kick, but you probably need to get more on it. South have gone quickly here to the front. Dragons are asleep.
Summers, nice little pass. He didn't quite come off, but it was a nice little pass. I'm not sure the other forwards knew what was going on because wasn't any support coming back on the tram lines there. A bit of support to help you keep back in. That would have been a nice little pass to the advantage line.
Yeah, I just don't think South, that wasn't in their playbook, I don't think.
Well, you got to play what's in front of you sometimes. You might call a play, and if it hasn't worked, you just run with it. And I think that's what
got a 130 kilo prop calling for the ball. You're probably going to pass it to him.
Well, nice hit. South have got it from the back of the line out, gone over and laid him out flat. That's the, I couldn't quite see the number, but there goes big Toby. Arms gone out now for Dragons. Knock on by South again, just their hands letting them down. Hands letting him down again, and I'd like to see what they can do with a bit of patience.
Yeah, it's just there's been I think Robbie the ref stopped the game here because 21 went into that tackle, the guy with the white headgear, and I think his time on the field is going to be short-lived because he took a fairly severe head knock, and they're not mucking around with head knocks at the moment, so. No. Let's hope. There's some common sense here, and Robbie Taylor, the referee's done a good job to see that and spot that because probably no one else did.
Well, I didn't see Julius's flag going, which probably should have. But look, there was nothing in that on the run.
Oh
that was
no,
a solid run, wasn't it?
It's just he just got his head in the wrong spot, and that's going to happen, especially if you get your head in the wrong position. So the inevitables happen, Billy. This guy will go to for a concussion test, and we'll see what happens, I guess. But
yeah, it was it was just a mismatch in size, really. I mean, the big fella coming through, and the little fella didn't go low enough, and he's just and I guess that happens in a fraction of a second in this sport. It's good to see that they've taken it seriously though, and getting him checked. Legs is over there taking him off. She'll make sure he's looked after.
Oh, well, he stayed on. Okay.
Has he?
He must have passed the concussion test because he's back on now feeding the ball.
Oh, well, there you go. I should slow down a bit before we talk, shouldn't I? And see what's going on. All right, Nicky now. Nicky's had it in both hands, looking to ask a question, but got isolated.
Would have liked to seen him pass that, Billy.
Yeah, they were stretched, weren't they?
Yeah. Well, that head knock hasn't affected the halfback. He's found a little bit of space around the ruck, and they get the ball back and kick long into that South 22. It's a great kick.
And this is now the young fullback from South. He's just a bit of a goose step, a bit of fleet of feet. He's got Needham there. He'll be talking to him all the way around with his experience, and he'll know and the ball's been taken out of the ruck.
He's got to roll away.
Yeah, the tackler didn't roll away. Gee, it's unfortunate because that was quick play by Dragons. He was off before I saw him nick it.
Yeah, just a little bit of technique, and he went off his feet, but he definitely had the ball. But you've got to stay on your feet, Billy. You've got to be strong over the ball.
Still waiting for the South team to put through to us. If anybody's wondering why we haven't run a few of the names, I'm unfamiliar with the 15. But he's quick. He's looks like he's got plenty to show today. He's going to be exciting to watch. South clean ball. Mulholland, and again up to the big number 8. He's just come through and boom, got him past the advantage line. But gee, Dragons are in there early, but it's come back now. Mulholland with a dangerous pass, but gee, I tell you what, Ranger's done well. Ranger did extremely well to get that ball, but then rushed it. But lucky for South, it's been brought back as a penalty.
Yeah, they use that play a lot, don't they, off set piece, where Mulholland drifts across the field and he drops that pass back into the big ball runner. You know, if you get into space on that skinny switch, you're always going to find some yards and get in behind that defence. And, you know, it's really hard then to reform your defensive line. But, you know, South's in a strong position here with the kick for touch, and obviously they've got a pretty good line out. So, you know, they're in a great position here to get one back, Billy.
Yeah, they move the ball really quickly, and it's sort of get the defence in a bit of a scramble, but it tends sometimes not to pay off when they rush it. You know, they just that fraction of a second more. I mean, Ranger was under heaps of pressure. He just maybe should have held on to it, but you can't blame him when you've got. Oh, here we go now, and there goes. Looks like Summers, I think, off the fringe, and South will look like they're boring over the line. The forwards are lining up to hit off the edge, and there's a try. Taylor's called the try. I just have to see who gets up with it. Is that Zach Burge? Yeah, the boy from Warren snuck over the line. I reckon he would have had that happen to him many times when he came up against Stennies in the old days, and he's now learnt from them and jumped in and got over himself. So I know his parents will often have a look and watch when he's playing out there. So.
I just think Dragons are a little bit unorganised around the ruck defence there. They weren't low enough, Billy, so, you know, you got to try and win that shoulder battle at that defensive line, and they were a bit high, and obviously Summers had good leg drive and drove over the line and took the defence with him, so something for South Dragons to work on. But, you know, they're still in the game, and they'll probably square it up here. And then they need to start well off the kick-off and then get back into the attacking position where they were before.
Yeah, we just saw probably the best bit of composure from the South forwards we've seen so far, and we can see what happens. But yeah, you look at the Dragons pack, and when they're on the front foot, the Dragons forwards are exceptional. But on the and that comes to a lot of size. But unfortunately, with that sort of size and probably not the mobility of the opposition, they're going to be found wanting occasionally in defence because they just don't quite have that speed, I don't think, to get back. But sort of bit of communication from a few of the. I think their Lucy's are going to have to fight a bit harder, I think.
Yeah, I think they want to try and slow the game down a bit, and as you said, play a bit of field position there. And I think he's pushed that one wide there, Jake Ranger. But the thing is that any team, Billy, you get front foot ball and you're putting the defence under pressure. You know, 9 times out of 10 you're gonna find a weak link in the chain and get some points. So they just need to slow the game down a bit and play to their strengths, which is their big forwards, get them through over the advantage line and look for that space out wide with the Nicky boys. And
yeah, if you've got Nabe there at number 10 and the Nicky boys, you can sort of see they've got plenty of firepower. But yeah, and I'm probably wrong, but I tend to find that when the game's a bit slower, Dragons are right in it a lot more, you know. And I think that's because they've got more to play off their forwards. Where if a team plays a bit quicker against them, their forwards tend to not be able to follow through, and that might just come down to their size a bit, you know. But look, that's a South nice little touch finder to get themselves back into the Dragons half. Interesting to see now how we go unforced errors. Drew Tobin throwing it in from hooker today.
Yeah, well, you don't have to have 2 on your back to throw the ball in as long as it gets in straight, Billy.
Seen plenty of wingers throw the ball.
Correct, and there we go.
Here we go now. Nice. He's running a flat line, but across field. But there. Oh, Riggs. He's on the foot now, and he's gone one inside out. He's just tried to put pressure on the winger and fullback, and he has run straight through him. That's a brilliant run. Now they're lining up and they're spread it wide. The Dragons want it quick, get it wide, and stretch that defence because Souths are outnumbered. Again, Souths are calling for the blind now because they're outnumbered, but they've come back now, Taylor, and he's got the arm against South. Quick tap by Nabe. Now it's gone to Riggs, and Riggs needs a bit of support. He's isolated. Nabe and Nicky are there, but there we go, Tobin. South didn't make the most of that. They've got a steal, however. I think he's in a bit of trouble for it, though. Gee, South could have made more of that, I think. I mean, without the support, they could have put a bit more pressure on. But they let them get away.
Slow to react there, because obviously Dragons line out struggling a bit, so they're not going to take a line out. They probably go a scrum or a quick tap. So I think you need to react a little bit quicker as an opposition, and I think they're kicking for goal here, which is probably not a bad idea. Slow the game down, go to their pace, build the points, build the pressure.
Yeah, and this is what worked for them last week. They did a good job of it last week too. They are a team that needs to accumulate points. Some teams like South, I guess, and will really, and probably Casuarina this year, they can score from anywhere at any certain time. But Dragons, as I said before, while they do have a fair bit in attack, they need to accumulate because the longer the game goes, the more forward base they're going to play. And obviously it puts a lot of pressure on the opposition and asks them questions. We saw with Casuarina last week, they went for penalties when they were right on top, and they should have, and that probably didn't do any favours for them.
No. I like this 10 of Dragons. I think if they can stay with South in the first half, there's quite a nice breeze. He's got a lovely right foot boot, and he can definitely put pressure on with a kick long and into the South danger zone. So,
yeah, I'd like to see South have 10 or 15 points on them at half time if the breeze stays as it is, at least. Oh, he sprayed it. Unfortunate. He came off all right, but he just didn't quite get the middle.
No, he pushed it. A bit like my golf, Billy. Just turn the shoulders too quick and push it wide.
Oh, yeah, right. So
more so my putting.
You're not supposed to turn the shoulders when you putt. No.
You turn the club head and that's what happens.
Yeah.
So, there's a bit of a let off there for South, so they need to probably go long and with a good chase here and put Dragons back under pressure, but they probably kicked to the wrong bloke here. They're going to go wide here with Nicky. There's plenty of space on the edge. There's a great kick into space.
And they just let the gate open, didn't they? A big gap. And has Min's gone the banana, or has he got it out? Oh. Now,
it's a banana.
It is hard to see from this side of the field, so I do apologise.
That was definitely a banana.
That was a banana kick, and a great kick by Vinnie Min there. I wasn't sure. We couldn't really see from our angle where it was going to go out, but I'm not sure if the Dragons guy was on the line, but either way, Souths are going to get that back. He must have been on the line when he caught it.
Yeah. No, but I think he must have been. Yeah, he must have been on the line. Otherwise, if he was in play, he dropped the ball, so it would have been a scrum, not straight. Referee's trying to get a gap here, which is a good thing. You need a fair contest in the line out.
Well, it tends to be up here when the boys are gassing a bit. They like to get as close as they can because they don't want to put the extra effort in. And I know how they feel. Hamish has gone up for it now. He's gone the tap down, but Dragons came through, put pressure, and Hamish has regained it. It's been tapped backwards by a Dragon defender. Geez, they've got some pressure on those boys in the ruck there. Now here comes Toby now. All palms one into two defenders. A strong run, but they're going to try and keep him up with it.
There's a lot of space on the edge here. They just need to fix a couple of runners and get it wide. There's that lovely...
Oh, Min, he's gone through two. He's got a couple more to beat. He's got support everywhere. Back to Ranger, who's asking a few more questions. It's the backs who are really looking sharp here now.
Knock on in contact.
And again, just another little unforced error.
Just building that pressure and building the pressure, and just a couple of little unforced errors. You lose that momentum, and now Dragons are back in it with, they'll slow the game down. They'll have a scrum, they'll have a drink of water, and they'll slow it up. and they're just sort of playing into their hands, when South had some really good momentum. But there's a lot of space on the edge, Billy. Both teams need to square up and try and get the ball wide early and put spaces in the edges there.
Yeah, it's just they just don't seem to know when to pull up when they're on a bit of a run, do they? And just reconsolidate the ball. And a lot of these guys have been playing at a higher level than I've ever played, but I think in these conditions, it's that focus on maintaining the ball in hand. It just gets lost, I think, in the actions.
It's a lot easier when you got the ball and you can control the game than having to do this all the time. Stop, start, play to Dragon's strengths, give them a rest, have a scrum.
Yeah.
They'll kick long.
One move I'd like to see would be Needham back at fullback and get the young flyer out wide of him, just so he can Evan could inject himself in the game a bit more or offer a bit more.
It's a big scrum.
Oh, and comes out to the flanker from South, who's done the underarm ruck from the gridiron. Out to then Ranger steps inside, gone past two, and that's a great run in trouble. South, and they're just picking up crumbs and trying to make the most of it. Now it's gone wide, and it's out to Min stretched them wide too. He looks like he's going to go in the corner, and over he is. Wow.
Well done. As I said, if you fix the defenders on the inside, then where's the space? It's definitely on that edge, and they really exposed that edge there with 2-on-1 and then back on the inside and scored a really nice try.
Yeah, it's just that example of having the extra pace that they've got out wide. Dragons just can't afford to play a wide game with these guys. Particularly when defending, they've got to make sure that those defenders shut down the inside boys or somehow maybe umbrella the defence to bring them back in.
But that came from Dragons' feed, and they had a tight head against them. So, then your defenders are back further than you think, and it's good play by South to expose the space on the outside.
Yeah, there's. You've got Big H there, and you've got Drew Tobin. You've got a couple of other blokes there who've been around a while. In that, Ewan McKillop's been pretty handy. But then you look at the opposition, and there's a lot of experience in that pack too. And that's probably where it's going to work. That worked out there. There's a bit more experience in that pack. And just, for me, it just shows the importance of that ball in hand, because this is going to be a game of who has the ball in hand the most to win. So it looks like the number 15 from South has moved, been pushed back to the wing, which is a good call. Not that he was doing anything wrong at the back there, but he looks like one of those. It looks like a good finisher, doesn't he? He looks like someone who
looks very sharp. Maybe the South coaches will listen to your commentary, Billy.
It'd be the first time, mate, and I'd advise against doing it again. Proven in the past I'm not the most astute rugby brain.
You're going all right, mate.
As I said, mate, the reason I heard once, it's easy to commentate. You just keep talking till you think of something to say. I haven't thought of something to say yet. Right, nice little clean one from South off the kick-off. Now the forwards just off the fringe, a little asking a question off the hip, and Ranger, who's always seems to be there, but Drew Tobin was on that quick. The man for all seasons. I mean, I don't know how many positions he's going to play tonight. It's usually 3 or 4, but I mean, from what I've seen from him this season, he's had an exceptional year so far. He just doesn't stop and doesn't give up.
Well, South had the opportunity to go wide, and they took it close, and, no one reacted to Ranger getting through that tackle. And, of course, he was left by himself, and fair play to Tobin. He was over the ball, strong again, and turned it over. And now Dragons have got a line out inside the South 22, and let's see what happens here.
Just, I think one of the challenges last year for all the teams, well, all the teams bar one, was as we keep saying, is 5/8s and stuff we don't have in the competition. Nabe here sort of making us look, well, we've got a couple now. South, without a quality halfback or 5/8, I mean, they've got good players who are playing out of position there. High quality halfback would have been off the hip there and set them up. Hamish now is just nice one off this messy line out. And Vinny Min now on the boot, and bit of an ugly one, but there's pressure onto the winger. Nicky there, his nice call, not well worked. And again, finding that wide gap, just needs more communication by South. And the ball was out. That's all right. It looks like it would have been out off Dragons anyway, I'd say.
Well, by the Palmerston Rugby Union Club grandstand, I don't know if they were either looking, but I don't think they think he was out. But anyway,
I've been a victim of that sort of stuff. Don't worry. They tend to like to have a few fun and games up there, the Palmerston boys.
Good call by the linesman, but great vision there from Nicky. You know, the Dragons' chase was okay, but they didn't fill in behind, and Nicky's found the space and done a great job. Put them back where they were before. Let's hope they can secure the possession off the line out.
Well, that's 3 times that's happened now, so someone's got to get in the ear of the back three in the backs to sort that out. Nabe now looking for, looks like that's Austin there.
Dragons have nicked it. Dragons South have nicked it because there's no sense of urgency there when people carry.
And then they go on the box. I mean, look, given Nicky room again, the defence just needs to be up tighter. And Nicky's put on the boot now too.
You earn that possession by stealing one, and then you just kick it straight back to him. I mean, it's a coach killer, but anyway, we all end up with grey hair eventually from coaching, so it's just another one.
Yeah. You've got to wonder what communication was being thrown around the field, because when you're in the opposition half, you don't be kicking it away.
No. But Nicky's a good ball runner, ball in hand. He could easily beat a couple of defenders.
If he's got anything that's... Look there, so now, there you go. Nabe, nice little quick foot, but then...
Well covered by the 9 because the winger was up chasing with the kick.
But then he's put on the boot again. I mean, this is what let Dragons down the last couple of minutes of last week.
Well, this is playing into the Dragons' hands with a bit of counter-attack.
Oh, and he's run straight into the defence, Nicky, but bounced off too. I tell you what, he was hit hard, but good on him for keep going. That was a solid little run.
Pinball wizard.
Geez, it sounded good, but now Tobin's nice and solid, trying to keep his feet and allow his attackers to help him. And again on the boot, I'm not sure what the game plan was there, but
I think there was a penalty, so I think he's put it on the boot. I'd like to see these teams, Billy, when they hit it around the corner, go back the same way they came from, back to the edge, because there's a lot of slow forwards just hanging around on the edge there, and you get a couple of quick feet around the outside. I think the referee might be talking to the captain and saying, "We've had a few too many penalties down here, boys."
Still, well, funny enough, still a lot less than last week, but last week, geez, they were giving them out like it was a chook raffle.
Well, I was at the University Pirates South game last week over at uni, and not only was there 4 red cards, but there's a lot of penalties.
Yeah, I think from what I heard after that, I think Julius was getting a job at the casino, just handing out the cards for blackjack.
Yeah, he didn't hand me a winning one.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, that was a game and a half. I saw a little bit of the footage of that game, and look, exciting one if you're a spectator. I wouldn't want to be part of it. A few cheap shots, a bit of fire, But I mean, look, it's unfortunate what happened, but it sends a strong message to the competition and to the players that it's not going to be tolerated foul play, and it shouldn't be. Yeah. Look, a silly mistake here by South, allowing Dragons in.
Let's hope he gets through the ball and doesn't turn his shoulders too quick, Billy, and he puts it between the posts, and then we can go again. That's a better strike. Kicks through the ball, straight between the posts, and away we go. So South have to regroup here. Dragons just have to keep it simple and play field position like they've been doing, and then get back down in this half. Still 15 minutes to go, so there's still plenty of time.
Yeah, I'm just dealing with the team sheet here now, just making sure we've got it all in nick. Just an interesting couple of add-ins. I didn't realise number 14 for South, James Phelps, is James Adassel, the godfather of South's nephew. And funnily enough, there's a connection there. He's a ex-Tas boy, the Armidale School, which is in the GPS competition in Sydney, which happens to be the school that my uncles and cousins and
there you go.
the mum's side all went to.
So here's South Dragons again, just getting a couple of good rucks up the middle and then exposing that edge, but then just giving away the ball. And South have done well here to get the ball and regroup.
Mulholland ball in hand. He's gone the most dangerous man probably over the ball. And they've got it back though, and Min now on the boot. Pushing them back, but Nabe was there, sitting there nicely.
So he'll slow the game down. He's got a good boot, so he'll get some purchase out of this kick. But Tobin for Dragons is very much like David Pocock over the ball, Billy, tonight. I've never seen him so active over the ball, and obviously he's got plenty of energy tonight, so he's been doing really well. He's asking questions of the South support play to make sure that they get someone there to recycle the ball. There's a good kick.
Yeah, I reckon they must have sprayed the South boys with rum and coke as they ran out, and he's just got a sniff and thought, I'm all over this. But no, he's a solid. I mean, I go back to that first game I watched the start of the season against Kaz when Kaz were home and O's and tried in the corner, and he just come from nowhere. He dropped from the clouds and 2-on-1, and he still.
The last game I saw of Dragons, he was playing 10.
Well, I think and then he was at 12, and then at 7, I think he finished off at 2.
Oh, I think he
was throwing the line out by the end of it. South of the ball again now, and being called back, not straight. It's been a bit of an issue, the not straight line out for the last few weeks, and they've been really tough on it. Don't know if it's lack of seasoned hookers. That seems to be another area I think that a few of the clubs are struggling.
I think you need to, if you're a hooker, you need to work on that core skill, mate, of throwing the ball in. So I'm not too sure how much they do at training or they don't do, but you know, you see a lot in this competition that the ball's not going to where it's supposed to. So, which is disappointing because a lot of the times these teams are launching some good attack in some good field positions and just turn the ball over through a crooked throw or a knock on or whatever it might be. So it's you know, but now Dragons have got the scrum on the left-hand side of the field, centre field, and a good attacking position for them. Yeah, I reckon I might see a kick from the 10 to the right-hand side with the winger chasing. Seems like he's got a lot of space.
From Dragons?
From Dragons, I think the South winger's up.
Yeah, it's a bit of a go-to, I think, occasionally, and they've got a bit of pace there, so they're pretty good at it. Oh, good scrum. Out nice and quickly. I need to. There's the chip. And Phelps, great take by the young fella. Look at him go now. Oh, and good decision making there as well. He's had a bit of clean air. He's got it out to the winger. Mulholland and Burge are in there fighting for the ball.
There's the big H, your man over the ball again.
Yeah, it's the man's a genius, mate.
Just slow to react. Slow to react, South, when they've got ball in the hand. But I think also too, Billy, it's an onus on the ball carrier to try and keep his feet as best possible for a little bit and give by a bit of time. But obviously, if you're tackling, you've got a low tackle focus and you're tackling around the legs, then it makes it very difficult, which South are doing, and they're getting that man in over the ball.
Yeah, it's With those smaller blokes, it's a lot harder, but that's just, again, it's one of those fundamentals you just cannot not do. And particularly here, when you've got Tobin and Harini Murphy there anywhere near you, if you don't keep your feet and then have a bit of support, you're gone. There you go, Zach Burge now tapped down under pressure. It's out to Toby. Toby out to Billy. Billy, the big number 8 from Pristine Warriors. He's had a great game so far. Just a strong runner all round. And as we saw, keeps his feet. See the difference there. Now Min, just looking the safe option.
See, South need to bring that line up the middle because now they're exposing that edge there, and there you go. There's a good little cross kick.
Handy kick by Nicky. Geez, I tell you what, he's done well there, hasn't he? And they've got plenty of room. He's got to find some Oh, South are scrambling for the attack, but it got him over the line. Gee, good play all round, eh?
It was, yeah. It was a great vision there down the edge, and then some really desperate defence from South to make that tackle in the corner. But it was good play all round, good attack, good defence.
I mean, that's what we come here for, isn't it? You want to see a bit of good rugby like that.
Crowd's going wild. Look at them.
But that's Palmerston, and they've probably had a few.
I would imagine. I hope they're
and
not.
That was before the game.
I hope it's not the blokes playing the next game.
Again, there's probably is. No, geez, they've had a good year too. Oh, terrible line out. Not straight. They're going to have to
I'm
fix
just
it.
not sure why you wouldn't just bring the ball down and drive in that position, because of the fact that you're going to tap it down, you need to tap it straight to the halfback, and you're putting yourself under pressure, and that's exactly what's happened. Just to catch and drive, and then when you're set, give it back and then kick long.
At the end of the day, you get to a point where if the line-outs aren't working, you just go to front. You've got to go this simple. Just throwing to the back, running around, making it complicated.
The KISS principle, Billy, keep it simple, stupid.
Well, yeah, and I think they were referring to me when they got to the end of that one. But when I played, it was for stupid, and that was for me, just so I could understand what's going on. Yeah.
See, I mean, this is the situation Dragons need to really concentrate in this scrum, because they can hold their own in the scrum, so they've got a great attacking opportunity here, and they just need to focus and concentrate and have a good scrum, and then work off the back of a good platform there, instead of losing concentration and possibly losing the footy. So I'm guessing the big H is in there with his experience, saying we've just got to get this scrum, stay tight, drive through the push, and we'll probably score a try.
So, and that's the thing of having a big number 8. You're going to ball out quick, and you can get good ball out quick. Dragons now asking a few questions right on the South line. This is where they really don't, because the big boppers are there, and they're hard to stop from here and over, and it's just about over the line. It's got to be close. Now Tobin's lining up. Taken by the big number 5. That's McKillop now, he's laid it up for, again, it looks like it's Harini Murphy there now lying down.
Souths have got to get lower, win that shoulder battle, because if you're going over, they're going to go through.
Burnett's asking a question now, and they've got no room. The arm's gone out for the penalty, so they've got plenty of options now. They're going to stretch South. Look, there's plenty of room to score, and they've got to go over. And the arm's gone up.
Try.
Well, that was always going to be hard to keep out. This is their bread and butter. When they're close to the line with the quality forwards, they're really hard to stop. And any quality forwards like that are going to drag the defence in, aren't they?
So they got their scrum ball they wanted, and they were patient, and they picked and go'd and try and find some space around the ruck, and then obviously dragged the South Darwin defence in, and then found the space on the outside. So they've scored a couple of good tries tonight, Dragons. But they're just grinding South into the deck. They're just slowing the game down and finding field position and causing a few errors, getting a few penalties, and keeping themselves in the game.
But that's what they do best. That is what Dragons do. If you let them play the game that suits them, then you are going to be in trouble. 13-10 with the kick to come.
5 minutes to go, and Dragons are still in it, and there's a really nice breeze, as we said before, Billy, in the second half for Dragons to utilise and try and pin South down here in the second half. But we could get through the rest of the first half and then go into the break, and obviously they regroup and refocus on what they want to try and achieve.
Well, as temperature goes, and this is as good as it gets. It's dry. It's actually cool.
I know. I was here last night watching some juniors, and I thought, am I in Darwin or where am I? Because it was so mild last night, it was almost bearable.
Now, when I say it's cool, it's 31 degrees, but it still doesn't feel hot. And half time's called. So at half time, we're looking at 13 points to 10. Which has been, while it's been scrappy and messy, which tends to be the format up here, it's been a good game.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the closer the games are, Billy, the more exciting they are. No matter what's transpired in the first 40 minutes. But as I said, they'll obviously Dragons are still in it, and so are South. So just a matter of who comes out in the second half and plays to the game plan and puts the most pressure on and scores the most points. But as you said, it's a very mild night. It's like, I mean, I wouldn't like to be out there, but it's mild sitting up here with a little breeze and the sun's gone, and it's quite nice.
Yeah, well, it's almost, it actually feels a bit like dry season weather, not, just with the temperature wise. People will be going 31 degrees. Geez, that's hot. Well, when the humidity goes out, it doesn't feel that hot. So we're looking at two sides that, I guess, South, and as I said before, the start of the haven't really fired a shot this season to really test. They've had close games with Uni and Casuarina, so they've had some close games which they could have won, but they haven't been, I guess, the unit that we expect. Often they're quite fast and dominant over strong teams, and they have hiccups over the season, but generally you see a fairly cohesive unit. I don't reckon we've seen that so far this year. Now that either tells you two things: one, a few things are out of sorts, or two, they've got plenty of good stuff on their way.
Well, you want to hope so. I mean, this is a must-win game for either of these teams to catapult them up around the four and keep them in the four. So I think from what I've seen, not knowing what much happened last year, that the competition's quite open. I mean, Casuarina look like they're going to be minor premiers, but at the end of the day, any team can get beaten by any other team in this competition, and it'll be a big test for Casuarina in the later game to make sure they get over Palmerston to cement that minor premiership, and then obviously confident to take it forward and keep continuing on to for the rest of the season. Yeah,
if I was Palmerston, I'd be a little bit worried. They're the only team that I think Dragons can really knock out of the four, and there's only a game difference, I think, in it, with a couple of bonus points. I just think that the way the competition is, that you just have to be on your game every game, because if you lose your concentration and give the opposition a sniff of winning the game, then anyone can win, and we've seen that in a few games over the past, before Christmas and even in the last few games. It's just very hard. I know it's difficult, it's hot and it's humid and, different things. There's a lot of variations here, but the team that can make the least mistakes and play the best field position and make their tackles are well on the way to winning this competition. Yeah, look, it's nice, it's tight. Look, while we're here, actually, speaking of tight, I went through and just some of the other results that happened today, and I went through and had a look, and geez, as I talk up the B grade comp sort of every chance I can, and I mean, it's the comp to be watching and being part of this year, because just some of the results we've seen today. So South played Dragons today at 1:45, and South on full time snuck a ball from a penalty to win 30-29. That'd break your heart if you're Dragons. Then you've got Casuarina B grade, who've been pretty strong this year, and a few old heads have come back with a bit of ability, and they got beaten by Swamp Dogs 15-7. And then University Pirates, who always have a strong B grade, they've got a bit of size and experience, against Catherine 15-all. And so that's an excellent competition, and whoever's going to be in the grand final, that's going to be a belting game. Yeah,
I've seen a few B-grade games which have been very interesting and quite competitive, and as you said, they're close games, so...
Yes, look, and Catherine, geez, they've done well, haven't they? They had a few sort of hiccups at the start, but that happens with any team that's sort of relatively new. And then once they found their mojo, they haven't lost a game at home.
No, very hard to go down to Catherine and play well with the travel and that. But then it's the shoes on the other foot when they have to come up here and play more times than then teams have to go down there. So I guess it's a bit of a team building thing for them, based around bus trips and having a win up here and going home and making sure they're on the right pathway. But they've got some good kids down there. I've seen a few games at Catherine, and they've got some leagueies that are playing union, and they're getting some players in from around the place. So good on them.
With no rugby league, I mean, you got to think it's right for the picking, isn't it? I mean, for all we can see, if promotion goes well, and besides there are a lot of people who work on the weekends, makes it hard. That's got to be a team that in the next couple of years we could do something really special with, with men's, women's, and B grade and A grade.
There's definitely some potential there, and it's got to be sustainable. It's just got to make sure that we can keep continuing on what they're doing and grow that game down in Catherine and just get more people playing rugby.
Well, you're going to hardly find more passionate rugby people than Mark Gardner and Peter Lee down there. Mark is he's a really strong rugby advocate, and Peter, well, he's been in Catherine 20 odd years, and funny enough, he actually formed my old club out in Dubbo I used to play for, and so we got a connection there, and I was talking to him during the week, and he just funny because the guys who play rugby down there are so passionate that it was hard to actually get the club together because they're so tribal. Which you'd think would not be a big issue in a small town like that, but I mean it's good that they've got past that.
It's great to see them in the comp.
Yeah, look, I'm super happy for them to be there. And just as the teams get ready again, we've got when I finally got the women's competition, and that was a really good one today. Palmerston, dead on their feet with no reserves, did a really good job. They might have, it was, when I get to it I do apologise, Palmerston against Uni 32-0, but they were dead on their feet and it looked like a really good game. It was only 5-all or 12-5 at half time. So it's 32-5 and 43-17 to Kaz and Dragons. Both teams set now. It's going to be interesting to see because it's not a position South would have wanted to be in the second half, to be behind, particularly with Dragons got the win behind them. But do not write them off. They have got firepower everywhere. Nice take by the number 8 from South. Geez, he's been powerful all game and he's just looked at an option with the arms out, but set up nicely now. South just screaming for it out on the open, and Burge now back inside, just trying to get behind the ruck, but he's taken nicely by the number 9. Ball's popped out the back and happens to land in the pocket of Summers. Summers now sends it out wide to Min. Min and the fast backs, and it just again one step too far. But then the arm's gone out now for offside. Dragons up way too quick, so it's been put on the boot to put pressure on Nicky. And now Jiminy, he's been lightning this year. He's scored a lot of tries for South. Putting pressure on Nicky, and he's found ground about 10 out from in his own half. Nice start from South. They're going to be quick. They're going to fire. Again, a little bit of composure is what they need. And a clean line out here would strike some danger because now Jiminy's come on for Needham. They've dropped experience to pick up a bit of pace, and he's going to be dangerous. Jiminy, you give him half a chance and he's in. Now Min to the big bus number 8. God, he just won't stop. Look at him. Burge playing at half. Ranger now goes a dummy. Inside one. And he's gone the forward pass. Wow.
Great positioning from Robbie Taylor, the referee there. He did really well. A bit disappointing about the forward pass, but good to see Robbie on the spot.
Yeah, it is
keeping
good to
them
see
honest.
Robbie on the spot. Yeah, well, not that Robbie's not that Robbie's never on the spot. I'm like
he's been around long enough he knows to position himself in the right places,
especially if the play gets pretty quick.
Yeah.
But again, just disappointing, isn't it?
It's just as I think we've said it before. It's just compounding errors that don't need to happen.
I think we could build the whole commentary on repeat of
that.
It
was scrum.
I often think that far out, the last thing they needed, isn't it? Wow, it just needed to get themselves in a strong position. Yeah, I just think, and both teams are doing it, they're going too wide, too fast. You're just not allowing the forwards to get that next ruck or that next play.
Yeah, that's just a bad pass from the halfback around the guy's toes.
Yes. Yeah. I'm just
just as I said, mate, coaches with grey hair.
Yeah, just referring to the boys though, they just need to. It's all right to go 2 or 3 passes quickly off the bat, but if your forwards aren't going to make you get there,
you've got to go forward before you earn the right to go wide. That's the old analogy, Billy.
Exactly, and they're not, and they're too much sideways running too. Here we go now. Into Mulholland the cutout, and Phelps, bad luck. The young fellow, just as it was about to between waist and knee height. Good thinking by the teams. An opportunity was about to present itself, but been pretty impressed with him for a young bloke who's new up here too. Can't be easy when you play in New England, when I think you get a winter and some days a high of 3.
True.
To be playing in 30 degrees.
But playing at this level, you should catch a pass like that.
Again, they want to get the coppers down here. Speed kills. Dangerous run. Just didn't need to be caught in that position. Settling run, and looks like Toby was in there with his hands having a crack. Made it a bit messy, but Dragons have got it back.
This time.
Burge was up nicely with the pressure, but it's a great kick. Look, there's two things that have changed a lot too for Dragons, which I think have been brilliant. They've now got a full-time coach, which they've had for 3 games, which I didn't realise till last week they hadn't had a full-time coach at all until Christmas. And Nabe, just fine.
And they found a couple of props.
Well,
there you go, the big man at the back. Look at him, trucking it up.
Well, I was talking to a few props earlier, and you and I have been around long enough to know that props think they're the smartest players in the game. And it wasn't until I thought about it, and I thought, well, even Einstein didn't have a master's in propping. So you got to think there might be something in that. Maybe a swift ticket to Mensa. Right, and again we're going to the feet. Oh, Anabe, I tell you what, it was a nice little chip and chase. It looked like it was about to come off, but the defence was too strong and knocked it out of his hands. And the danger man's now got it again. Somebody's got to stop him, but no support there. And unfortunately, Dragons have just lost their feet and caused a penalty. There's Summers now. Summers with nowhere to go. Mulholland, they're up on him quick. Oh, awful pass, but Rangers got it on the boot, and he's been quick, and they're bringing it back for what looked like was going to end up to be a dog's breakfast at both ends. Gee, you just shouldn't have passed it, young fella.
Doesn't mean the start of the game I'm guessing the Dragons coach would have liked, but you've just got to adjust and try and get back into the game and get some stability and cut down the errors, Billy. Errors.
Well, I've noticed with all the teams in all the games up here, and when you're looking, I don't know, I haven't played for a while now, and I haven't played at a decent level up here either. I gave the game away long before that, but you just got to sit back. Even if you were the team at the bottom of the table here at the moment in this competition, if you just cut down your errors, you're going to push every single team in this comp, even if you didn't have the ability or the cattle, because the error amount, even for Cougars, has been really high.
I think that's a high tackle. Straight off his feet. I think, Billy, that a lot of the teams have that break over Christmas, and I think they struggle with their fitness. And this is why you see errors and technical errors, and then because they're not fit, then they get frustrated and give away penalties, and it goes on and on and on. So, like teams that have buys and teams over the break, work on their fitness. I think the team that's fit and reasonably well drilled and makes the less errors and makes more tackles will 9 times out of 10 win the games here and win the competition.
Yeah, and unlike, I guess, a lot of A-grade competitions around the country, there's probably less... it's more of a mix of probably who are a little bit more professionally minded than not. Your A-grades in most of the country are sort of that same sort of focus level where guys here just purely for work and for social reasons or whatever.
100%. That's a high tackle. Well, he might be in a bit of trouble there. But that's the thing, Billy, you look at it and we go back to each team, the Robbie Butchers, the Jake Rangers, the Mulhollands, the Harinis. Yep. Each team have got a couple, but they just don't have enough to build on and build some momentum and different things. So it's difficult because, as you said, it's very transient up here, and sometimes you've got players and then sometimes you don't have them, and you've got to try and rebuild. And I think retention's the word. Yes. They've got to try and retain a lot of players, and it makes it difficult. So, you just got to try and do the best with what you got and ask a little bit more from those players,
Well, even South before the game couldn't tell me who the side they were going to put on the paddock. So, you got blokes who probably don't want to be playing first grade. Not that because they don't love rugby, just that they're probably pulling back a bit or they're just not ready for it, but they just have to.
Well, they have other things in their life, work and family and what have you, and the enjoyment of playing B grade or whatever it is at 1:45 on a Saturday afternoon probably doesn't tick the box.
Well, I'm not putting my end up for 1:45 on a Saturday in the Northern Territory either. Look, good call by... so we just saw the high tackle there. Good call by the referee. There were some circumstances there, but rather than flick the defender, he understood that... a few circumstances played into play there, and it was really sort of unavoidable.
There's what we've been asking before. Just take the ball off a line out and drag it down and drive through, and now look at them to go. Dragons are really asking the question of South now.
And this is where they need to get the defence on the back foot. Oh, good hard run, but was not let go by Toby. That was just big boy on big boy. Now South have gone over the top really, really well. Not quite committed, Dragons, but now they're scurrying over. Geez, a bit of desperation by both teams, but Dragons just needed to that second follow-up, the 1%ers.
A lot of ball watching here, Billy, and as I said, there's no sense of urgency to, once you've made the pass, you need to make a second effort and make sure that you're there to secure possession and then, present the platform for teams to attack off.
Well, we just saw a couple of blokes there just going hell for leather, and then everybody else sort of waiting for the ball to land in their hands.
A lot of ball watching.
Yeah. There's got to be. We saw last week just some desperation and a bit of heart from the Dragons. You just need a bit of that, and you're going to do really well. But they're now in the South 22, so it's on South to make something of this and get themselves out of trouble. Now Min, he's been good with the boot all day. He's got that away nicely too. Where will it bounce? Just up nicely for Nicky. And he should be running it too. They've got a bit of room out wide. They've got pace now out to Nicky as well. And then they've found that extra room that's been there all day.
Great kick.
Excellent.
Really good vision there, like sense of urgency to get back, make the long pass to the centre of the field and give the player that option to kick it low, long into the corner.
Yeah, and it just seems to me that they're the team that's got sticking to more of their game plan at the moment. They've found that gap all day, and it's done wonders for them.
As we said at the start, you need consistency, and you need an 80-minute performance, and it's gone backwards.
Another terrible line out. I know we just call them line outs now, do we? We don't have to call them terrible anymore. They just seem to be standard. Right, now on the attack, and Burnett is in. Standing on the fringe a lot, but he just seems to be a good solid runner. I don't know if the whistle wasn't heard. Lachlan number 18 from South, he just didn't hear too much tape around his head.
Yeah. See, now Dragons have had a bit of possession, and South are under pressure now. They're making a few mistakes. They're not getting back on side. There's a few penalties building up here, so I don't think the referee, Mr. Robbie Taylor, is going to tolerate any giving away too many more penalties without some sort of consequence. So there's an important kick here. It's going to put them 6 points out, and that's just perfect for Dragons, how we spoke about before. Hold on to the ball, get a penalty, kick for goal, regroup, get back down the other end on the boot of the fly half, and try and win a line out or get a penalty.
But this is really dangerous for South, because the fight for this competition isn't, generally kicks off in the finals, but whoever finishes second out of South and University is going to have a massive advantage, because that you think that'd be obvious to say, but no more so than this year, because it is so even with these teams. That second opportunity is going to mean everything, and a loss today could nearly put them out of it.
Yeah, but it's also you want to be winning going into the finals, Billy. You want to have that momentum of that you are doing the right things, and going into finals with a few wins under your belt gives the team a lot of confidence.
Yes, yeah. You look at Kaz and think, they're going to be solids, and look, they are red hots to win it. But it's not the sort of competition where you want to give a couple of teams. South might play like this for the rest of the season, then come up trumps in the last two games because they've got the cattle for it. Uni might do the exact same thing. So, while Kaz have been consistent, and they're surely going to. Phelps been pushed back. It's a fairly solid kick, nice, but South are lined up well in attack. Now Minns looked at the defence and looks to take him on, and has found a bit of depth in his kick too, and it's a nice little bounce, and Nicky wasn't quite there, and the ball's been taken out. Thought he got it back in, but not quite. He had a couple of speedsters on him. So anyway, that's a good bit of play by South. If you're going to kick it, we saw some ordinary kicks before, but if you're going to kick it, that's the sort of thing you want to work on.
Well, there was a good kick by the Dragons 10, but there was some sense of urgency, and they had 4 back, so they had some options. They went to the centre of the field, and Dragons' kicks chase wasn't up to it, and they put it in behind, and now they're pressuring the line out.
Wow. Anyway, knock on by South. Still plenty of time to go in the game, so there's no panic from anyone here. But
it's 23 minutes to go.
So no panic by South, but I wouldn't want to see Dragons get another try on them, because the way they're playing at the moment, it's going to be extremely hard for them to pin back. They're just not closing it out.
Converted try in it, so it's just a matter of making sure they're not making so many mistakes.
Good pushback. Big H has got him out nicely though, and then that's been just put into the safe zone.
Strange option, but anyway, got him 25 metres.
Well,
you can see a few of the boys there puffing now. It's obviously still really hot out there, but the bookends are really slow getting to this line out. A couple of big boys there, Billy.
Well, it might be a strange option, but you look at the way South line-out's been going, it's probably a fair option. You might get the ball back. So there you go. So, the way the South line-out's been going, it's nearly going to be to your advantage to kick it out, isn't it?
Well, mate, we're into the second half of the season, and we're still talking about people can't throw the ball straight in a line-out. Dragons launching an attack off that scrum, and They've chipped it over the top, and South have done really well. And Rob Taylor, the referee's got his hand out for a penalty for a high tackle off the kick chase. South have gone wide here into the tram tracks. A big man going down the sideline looking for support. Pops it up. Dragons, South get there. Dragons struggling to get back in defence. 16 takes the ball up. I reckon that's a penalty. Almost a deliberate penalty there, and I'm not too sure it was the referee, Mr. Robbie Taylor, that they just went back in and they weren't getting back on side, and thus they've got a penalty now. So there was a centre field scrum on the edge, Billy, and they went down the short side, and South were attacking, and South and Dragons didn't get back on side. Of course, now they've got a penalty. Man down injured. I think they've called a scrum.
So I got Robbie having a chat to the boys there at the moment. Just all been a bit scrappy. I reckon someone's down. They're giving a bit of a drink break. And look, it is very hot, so it's a good move to let the boys with 20 to go just have a bit of a breather. As I said, while we sit back and think it's nice and cool, it is still 31 degrees, and it's always, and the humidity's not too bad today. You're going to feel it when you're running around. And so while the boys are having a bit of a drink and a breather, the referee's just made a note to just go and talk to the captains and just probably correct a few things. As the fatigue kicks in, you're probably going to see a few more mistakes and a bit of lazy play. So it's a good opportune time to just for the boys to get their heads back in it a bit. But this was always going to be a tight game. Two contrasting styles. Neither team really been dominant, and I think that's been just pure. I think the mistakes from both teams have sort of kept either of them in it. South with probably a bit more experience and a bit broader attacking range, and Dragons with their just a brute force in the forwards and a couple 5'8" with cool heads and a bit of speed. They just need, either side just needs something to click, and if they can do that, they'll blow them away. Interesting call by South though. They're 6 down. Kick for goal, bring a 3-point game. Could have been advantageous for them, but they're confident. They're going to back themselves. And you can't blame them for it. Easy to go for 3 points, but with plenty of time to go and with the firepower they got, why not? They've made a couple of subs. Looks like they've got a younger bloke too out on the wing, so good pressure out on him.
Need a good scrum, Billy.
Yeah, well, South has been solid all afternoon. They're never going to lose theirs. Now Mulholland is just through the dummy, but not falling for. He's run into the big boppers in the middle.
I don't mind that play.
No.
At least he's testing the defence, because normally he drops that ball off on the inside and
just been
got a turnover.
Yeah. Yeah, and look, but he had it in two hands, so had he tucked it under, it's a whole different story. But H has just gone, look.
Oh, there's your man, Big H,
mate,
trying to inject some inspiration into the Dragons, Billy.
Mate, I'll give you the tip, mate. He's good enough to lead the G8. Mate, he is.
Maybe
him over there and just talk.
Maybe a contender for the Eric Johnson medal this year, Billy.
Mate, he's always a contender. Give him a couple of games and you put him up there.
We get to the edge, Dragons, and then they kick it straight back to the fullback. He's going to look to go wide here, and I'd like to see this guy have a run, actually, but anyway, he kicks it.
Jiminy, I tell you what, he's a flyer, and he's scored a lot of tries this year. I'm not sure where he's on the try scoring. I tried to tally him up, and he wasn't far away from the top of the tries. But again, there's no need for these two teams to be
There's
kicking.
no kick chase here from Dragons.
No, and then why would you kick it if you're not going to have the chases? You know, like I understand fatigue's kicked in, so they're trying to play it up the other end to force mistakes. But if you're not, got no chases.
Well, I understand if their game plans to actually put pressure on the opposition and kick for corners, but you've got to bring the opposition up, put them under pressure, then kick and make them turn and chase. I mean, they've just given away possession there. Ranger gets the ball back inside his 22, and now they're back on the halfway with a line out.
Yep. Yeah, agreed. And that's the thing. Every play in rugby's got to count for something.
You've got to have a purpose, Billy.
That's what I'm getting at. You just can't just.
There's a ball straight in the line out.
Look at that, and
Excellent.
a very good line out. Here we go.
Now we got a good platform. We need to go forward first. I think Robbie's got him for offside, but
Jesus, a solid hit. I could just hear the sound effects there, but he's got up well.
Yeah, I think they encroached inside the 10 because they held the ball at the top of the line out.
Yep, and they just got a bit antsy.
Well, they just got a bit frustrated because of the fact that, they were getting off the line too early, and you've got to hold your line, you've got to communicate and make sure that you come up in a straight line. So here we go. Dragons have got a great opportunity here, put in the corner and hopefully try and win their line out and put South under pressure and get some points, and that's really going to be with 14 minutes to go. It's going to be a tough ask for the South to come back, and especially with this wind and how the Dragons are just trying to play field position.
If they were playing better, you'd back them, but they're just not putting enough ball in hand and not enough passes. And if they can get this ball here in this line out and then just drive forward, well, they didn't. We'll see what happens here now because this formula hasn't worked for them yet.
They're too lateral.
Yep. And again, this is what I expected. Had they gone into the forwards and started driving forward, they were every bit dangerous there, Dragons. Anyway, now South have regained it from the knock-on.
There's plenty of space.
Vinny Min is under trouble with no support, but he's done well with it. And he's brought it, and Robbie Taylor's brought it back.
Robbie was playing the advantage to South, but I'll tell you what, Vinny Min had looked up here and come this short side. There was about a 3-on-1, and they could have made something of it. But anyway, they go back to the scrum. Cramp setting in.
Not a lot of talkers too in some of these outside
very
backs.
Quiet, Billy. This game's very quiet.
Yeah.
No one seems to be talking, and when the kick chase is on, no one's trying to bring the line up together, and it's very quiet. And as I said, I think with South last week losing their captain and their leader, I think they're looking to other players to try and inject that leadership and that enthusiasm, and they're still in the game here with 13 minutes to go.
Yeah, but you've also got a lot of players in the red and green who haven't played a lot together this year as well. So we're maybe not a lot of confidence in a couple of them to just speak up a bit, and they just need to, because so many opportunities tonight they've missed that they could have just absolutely run amok out wide.
Yeah, but I mean, like the old adage is communication is intimidation.
Absolutely.
And if you keep chatting, then something's going to happen.
Absolutely, and when you've got a pack of forwards all talking and all, and that's an enthusiastic pack of forwards.
Correct.
And that alone just shows the other team you're up and ready. And if
builds the energy and builds the enthusiasm, and it's hard for the opposition to get into the game. I'd like to see him go. I'd like to see him test the Dragons' defence here and get to this edge with the flyer. They've got a 4-on-3. If they do the right thing, maybe the 8 picks up, takes out the first defender, and then they get to the edge here.
Well, they've got 3 blokes out this side they're coming now who will outrun these guys any day of the week. But Vinny Min really well with the ball now. This guy can go too. He's got Jiminy on that side. He's got Nicky to beat. But Jiminy, who's going to put it on the boot over the top now. It's a foot race. Foot race with defenders everywhere. Jiminy's got on early and he slid over the try line.
Great try.
Oh, amazing try by South. And I've got to say that's a really well thought out finish, because had he taken another couple of steps, he might have not got the ball back, but he's landed on it early and then just backed himself to slide over. Well done.
I think we picked it early. I mean, they had a 4-on-3 and they went straight and they committed a defender. Vinny Min went through and then he offloaded to the speedsters down the edge here, and they did a great job. Good kick inside, good chase.
Yep.
Good sense of urgency. Scored the try beside the post and puts them back in the game, kick to come. They could be 1 point in front with about 10 minutes to go, Billy.
Well, they couldn't have for all the times that an execution of the ball has been ordinary tonight, they couldn't have done that any better. That was almost pinpoint accurate in every sense. And there wasn't much more the Dragons could have done. They sort of covered as much as they could, and then they had a good forward coming across there to help them out, but it's just too much pace.
There's some good tries scored tonight. Like, there's been some good build-ups and some good packages put in to score tries. Yep. It's just, unfortunately, we've had a few errors, and people in different positions have turned over the ball and given away a few penalties. But you can see these teams can play footy when they express themselves.
Yeah, no, that's good work all round. And then there goes Vinny Min straight over the black dot. Now they're up by a point. Now we'll see what happens from here, because...
Well, as I said, Billy, the wind's still a reasonably good wind, and I think, Dragons have got to try and get some field position and put South under pressure and hold on to the footy, build some pressure, get a penalty maybe in front of the post, and just build those points. But they're walking a bit, they're starting to slow the game down, but, you need that sense of urgency now. You're a point behind with about 8-9 minutes to go.
And the other thing going against them at the moment, it looks like Nabe's off the field as well, the 10.
He is too.
So I didn't quite get the memo when he took off, so I've just noticed that now, and he was a vital chink in that first half.
Well, he was the key to their game plan of getting it long, deep into the corners, but it's just they've just got to win their line out, Dragon, and hold on to the ball, and just put South under pressure. And as I said, get them in a position where they'll be able to get a penalty.
Just checking, I thought I saw 3 Nickies on the field there for a second. Yeah, nice little. Probably not a great hit up by the 18. He probably could have hit it a bit harder, but now Nicky just trying to make something for them. Straight across the field, though, was an awful run. He just needed to get there
lateral. There's a big
hands
H.
And defence.
Very lateral, Billy, made it easy for the defence, but H has identified he's just put his head down and taken some field position, and they've got the penalty, so it's exactly what we just said, Hold on to the ball, work for a penalty in front of the post. But,
when Nabe needed to be on, though, isn't it?
Yeah, but surely they've got another kicker.
Well, they're going for it, and Nicky will probably step up. He's had a few kicks in the past.
Not a noted goal kicker, Billy, is he?
Oh, look, no, I don't think he's any of the sorts of Robbie Butcher or anyone, but he's got a bit of ability with the foot. He's shown that with a bit of AFL too. It's sort of one of those blokes who can sort of put his skills to any sport.
Yeah, there's an important kick here with about 7 minutes to go. I mean, puts them back in front, and then puts the pressure back on South to get back down into the other half, and they do exactly what Dragons have just done.
I don't reckon he'd lack a lot of confidence either. Just quietly, he's not an arrogant bloke, but he seems a kid who runs around with confidence really well.
There's a big kick here.
Oh, he's kicked that nicely, hasn't he? But he's waved away, unfortunately. Nice off the boot, just not quite straight.
No. But they still got the chance to get the ball back. And, that would have been nice to see that go through the post and have a restart back on halfway, but we've got a restart on to 22 now. Dragons have got it all ahead of them to get back down this end and try and score some points.
Tane Carroll, 21's come on for South. He's been around a little while now. He's won a grand final with them. And Dragons now have made a little bit of, taken the kick nicely near halfway, but have made a bit of ground. Oh, and H on the inside now has put him on the back foot as well, just hitting the advantage line, I'd say. But then now South just too advantageous. Got him for a high. Couple of lazy runners there in defence, not quite getting back. And a bit of fatigue set in there, I think, just not dropping his height in the tackle.
Well, you can see the H has stepped the game up now within the last 10 minutes. He's really he's really taken it to South, and he's trying to drag the Dragons players along with him. And, this is an important line out here.
Well, that's just where he's so dangerous, and this is what he's done over the years. He's never had the greatest forward pack in the competition, but he's always had that ability to drag them. There you go, and there's another good line out by Dragons. It's starting to look solid now in the set pieces. And Nicky now on the wide. They're pushing the South wide. He's gone on the boot. A bit of a silly kick, I would have thought. Just needs to get that back to the forwards. And again, panic by Dragons, I would have to say. And there's Summers now acting out as a winger. Sent it out to Murrell. Murrell's just been taken down wide. But then the ball's popped out the back and there's pressure on now South. Now Phelps. This is a mess. They just need to secure that ball at the back. It bounced out the South, and they just needed maybe a fringe runner or something just to settle it, not put pressure passes on.
I just don't know why they have to go wide. They just, been doing it well. A great line-out ball. Just hit the centre field, get some drive through over the advantage line, then look at your options after that. Instead of going wide early, and then Nicky kicks it and turns the ball over, and now South are down here, got a penalty, and now they've got a line out on the 10-metre line. With 5 minutes to go, they can secure some possession here and score some points, and it takes it out of the Dragons' hands. So, it's had to be a little bit more thinking and...
Yeah, try and do too much too fast.
Correct.
A better line out, but a messy one still. It was... Dragons have stole it, and a nice little, a messy little flick pass. It's been called forward by the referee, though. I was going to say nice, but it was just a bit of a messy little volleyball pop. I reckon we stick around long enough, we're going to see sort of every sort of infringement we can find when it comes to forward passes and drop balls. South have probably had the more stable scrum of the night, so you'd expect that they'd be able to get a good platform off this. And I guess the centre field play a bit more dangerous when again, I'd be coming right with pace, I'd think. Oh, it's gone down early. Yeah, William Liddy, he's been around a long time for Dragons. He's just on the tight head over here. He's just fallen down. I didn't quite see.
I'm very impressed that the front row is basically still there.
Yeah.
It's been a massive effort.
Yeah, well, he had a little breather there before, but it's not like he has the luxury of having too much time off because all teams are struggling. There's a lot of pressure in there. He's gone down again.
Penalty.
Yeah, he just, whether that was the opposite, whether that was
Summers, he just folded in, and I think he's just tired, Billy, and that's a result of a guy who's been tired, and the other bloke's done a good job to put him in that position, and he just folded in, and now South got a penalty in front, and we spoke about this like only 5 minutes ago, where South is still in the game, and they've just ground some penalties out and taken some options, and now they've got a penalty in front of the post to kick, 4 points ahead.
I think a bit of experience there from Hayden Summers too on him has helped him out a bit, just what he did with the angle and with his arms. But I mean, we all, as we talk about, it's a game in itself, the front row, and you've got to be up to it.
Yeah.
Vinny Min looking for a 4-point advantage with somewhere between 2 and 7 minutes to go, depending on which clock you're looking at. And he's put that over. South, it's probably the cleaner of the two teams in the second half, and that's probably been the only difference, really.
Yeah, and South have probably made less mistakes, Billy.
Yeah, and then, again, just a little bit cleaner with unforced errors. And just if Dragons could not kick it as much and keep it close to the forwards. Oh, I tell you what, that's a little nasty one there, but it wasn't too bad because it was there's a fair weight difference there, so I think it was just
He's pretty lucky to get away with that because I think that was pretty intentional. So I think the referee might be having a chat
I think he's going to have to.
Well, yeah. I don't think there was any effort to go low there from 23, and yeah, he'd be lucky not to get a card here.
Yeah, that was Obio there. He sort of went in. He got caught high straight away, and they're both young blokes, so I guess he didn't want to be found wanting. But well, interesting to see because Robbie did let one go earlier. And there you go. So he let one go earlier.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
I guess there wasn't a lot of
there wasn't
damage done or intent. You know, and he pulled his arm out
just
straight
reckless,
away.
So.
Yeah.
But you know, when you're struggling to try and make up 4 points from a kick-off, you know, do you really need that? Probably not.
No, and I think it's the biggest bane for me is when it comes to rugby is players that lack of technique. I find.
Here we go. We get a bird's eye view of this line out, Billy.
All right. Well, it'll probably be a good one now.
There we go.
Great line out. Best one for the night for South. Uncontested by Dragons, so it made it a little bit easier for him. And this is the danger man again. Look at him. Boom. Tell you what. Anybody who needs some demolition work done, bring him on because he'll help you take down a house real quick. Just steady but ordinary pass. It was slow and low. Now South with the drive right past the advantage line, and not a real eager test for Dragons to get back, but South have been slow, so it's allowed them to get in a position. Now Min, it's 2-on-1 with Big H in the cover. Great pass to Jimmy. I thought it was a good pass. The referee thought differently, and he's the one who knows more than I do, so we'll let it go. But good intention by South. The option was correct. 2-on-1, and with Jiminy in space, mate, he's not being stopped. Rightio, this is the opportunity they need now. Dragons haven't got any time left, really, so they've got to do something with this. Whether it be get themselves in a position. Oh, and there's back out the hole. I think had Birds just then maybe sort of let it roll and tapped it back on the inside of his leg, it might have been all right, but he's just grabbed that on the side of the scrum, ready to go.
I have a feeling with how long to go, I think Dragons might need to score a try, Billy.
Yeah, right. I was thinking they're going to score here or force a penalty to get them down the paddock to then...
Either or, but yeah. I think they need a try to win the game.
Last chance saloon. It's sundown. And ready for it. But it's a messy scrum. Where's the arm going to go for this? Ooh. And he's... Okay, so... He's allowing a bit of flexibility here, the referee.
Well, I reckon this is the last throw of the dice. Because if it doesn't, Dragons can't do anything with this, then I reckon we're pretty close to South getting the win, Billy.
Yeah, and I think, it's a fair result overall. I mean, both teams are probably fairly even, but one was probably a little bit...
Yeah, I think Dragons have squandered some opportunities and given away some penalties, and they've kicked away possession a few times when they were going well.
Quick scrum is what they needed now, and there's Nicky, sends it wide out to Nicky, and now they're using their pace out wide, and they've got to get some support out there to really make the most of this because they don't want to get isolated, which has been happening most of the night. Oh, and this is an advantage for them now. South do not want to get into a scrap here and lose some possession. Rightio, so not getting out, not rolling away from the ruck there, Ranger. 4 points difference.
I guess you got to take the line out.
Well, you have to. I mean, unless you're playing for bonus points only.
Well,
mind you, a bonus point
great
here.
Kick.
It's an awesome kick. A bonus point here will still be extremely valuable.
No, he's kicked it dead. Has he? No.
No. It looked like it was all right from here. But
I thought he was the linesman had his flag. But anyway, there's a great kick. And here we go, Billy.
Dragons' favourite scenario. Happened last week. Now.
They scored a try earlier from a catch and drive. They just have to be patient, but we need to get the ball in the middle.
Have they learnt from last week that they keep it in the forwards? This is where the question's got to be asked because last week, if they get this to the backs, it's game over. They keep it in the forwards. Oh, and it's an awful line out.
That's it.
I tell you what, that's the last thing they need, and it just had the forwards got that needed to go to 2, and then just drive straight up the guts, and I reckon they were home.
It's a game of opportunities, and you've got to take every opportunity when you can, so it couldn't be too much longer to go. So I reckon that, as I said to you before, that was the last throw of the dice for the Dragons. I think South get a good scrum here and kick it out. You'll probably find that that's probably nearly it.
It'll all come down to the pressure because they've had a solid line out, so let's hope South, if they can bring the South apart here, they've got a chance. But while it's been a scrappy game, South now, good forward drive, ball back solidly, and Min's just gone the line. He knows what's up. Has he got it out though, and it's out cleanly. And I'm just looking for the referee for the whistle.
Still going,
there
Billy.
We go. And I do apologise anybody who wonders why we keep talking this, because we're on 2 clocks at the moment. We're not quite sure which one the referee is synced to. But they're going to play the line out.
He's synced to it.
There we go. So the siren is gone. This is the last play of the game.
It has to be because it's nearly getting dark. Can't see where the line out is, mate.
So the lights aren't on yet. Are you the light man tonight? Oh, and it's gone into South's hands.
I think you kick it out, it'll be all over.
Ill discipline in the stakes, but Min, he's done what he needed to do. South did enough, and I guess that's all they needed to do tonight. It might have been scrappy. I enjoyed it because it was a contest in that respect.
It was, but as I said before, Billy, Dragons had a lot of opportunities and, kicked the ball away and made a few errors and turned over a few balls and really kept South in the game, That's probably the situation, and I'll go back and have a look at the video of this over the next couple of days, and there's definitely something there. It's just that they need to be more disciplined and not make as many errors. So anyway, fair play to South. They hung in, they did what they had to do, and got the W.
Yeah, look, both teams have shown that they've got some players in there who are really going to make a huge difference this competition given the right circumstance. It's just being able to get everybody else to sink in with them. And if that can happen, then they're going to shake anyone. Yeah,
and as we said before, we spoke earlier that, any team can beat any team in this competition. And like you said, it's like if you make less errors and you make your tackles and you kick your goals and you score a few tries, then you're always going to be in a game.
Absolutely. Look, so everybody's online. Thank you very much. Thank you to NTRU for having us. Thank you to Kick Media for their support and allowing this all to happen. Now, the next game won't be live streamed between Casuarina and Palmerston, but it will be up later on at some point, maybe tonight, I would say, for those. And I'll be sticking around. Are you sticking around for that one? Or are you going to go and join the boys?
No, mate. I'll probably stick around for a little bit and see how it goes, but it's on field 2 with the lights. So thanks for having me again, Billy. It's always a pleasure and always a bit of fun. And till we meet next time, my friend.
Yeah, I'm out for a couple of weeks, so I'm not sure
we'll reconvene in a few weeks.
But I'll be back in a couple of weeks, and thank you to everybody who's been about, and we will catch you again soon. Good night.